What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the H Panel, the show where I bring on guests from all different backgrounds to talk all the things mental health. I am obviously your host, Harry Potvin, and today I am joined by Jesse Diaz. Jesse is a Muay Thai fighter and an MMA assistant coach who quit his job to pursue a career in martial arts and in podcasting. Jesse's got an incredible story, and he was so much fun to talk to, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. Now, the two quotes that I've got to start this episode off are, number one, everything will be okay only when you're okay with everything. Simple enough. And secondly, one of my favorite quotes of all time, whether you tell yourself you can or can't do something, you're right. I hope that resonates with some of you. Please enjoy this episode. Before we get too started here, please like, comment, share, subscribe, give 5 stars on podcast platforms, share with someone who might need to hear this episode. It's a really great one, and I can't wait for you all to listen. I'll talk to you all soon. Peace. I'm Harry Potvin, and this is the H Panel. So before I get too into anything, I want to talk about the day you reached out to me on Matchmaker, that podcast platform, because I found it really funny because the day before that, I started getting to Muay Thai like an end of November.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've been like a competitive swimmer my whole life, and then I retired, and I needed something else like to bring intensity because I can't work out unless someone's screaming in my face. I needed that, and I found it with Muay Thai. But I was sitting there and I was like, man, I really want people who have experience in that world to come on and just have a conversation. And then the next day you messaged me. I was like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, man.
It just happens like that sometimes.
I know. I believe in that whole thing where it's like if you put that energy out, like something can happen. I believe in that.
Yeah, I was actually listening to the girl from the WNBA, and I think you mentioned I listened to 2. I think you mentioned on one of them that you're doing Muay Thai, and I was like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, I'm terrible at it because it's.
Who's your coach?
His name's Rob. I don't know his last name. He's in Ontario. Yeah, but like I'm used to like swimming, right? I'm used to this monotonous, like over and over, lap by lap technique, whatever. And then Muay Thai is like your mind has to be there the whole time. You got to be in the present. It's a whole different muscle groups. They're whole different muscle groups.
It comes back to, I think, from what I'm learning, because I've competed in jiu-jitsu, I've competed in Muay Thai, I've competed in MMA. I played basketball, football, baseball in my youth in high school. And it's funny because I'm learning this as I get better at fighting, that all those sports, like it's all just, you're just learning your body. That's all you're doing. Yeah. Right. And you're making it move a specific way. And because even swimming fascinates me. I didn't do it competitively, but I did take classes up until like I think I was like 14, but it was like intermediate level, and the breaststroke and the backstroke, and the backstroke is hard. I don't understand how people do that competitively.
I hate the backstroke.
It's my least favorite. Yeah, that I find swimming crazy too. That it's because you can't see where you're going. You have to make sure everything's right. You have to be like right in line the whole entire time, right? Yeah. Where did you compete? Just in high school and college, or?
Yeah, I was in competitive swimming for 11 years. So I started when I was 10, like when I just turned 10, I started, and then I went all the way to the last year of university. So I kind of competed at all levels, like not professional, obviously. I was never good enough for that, but like I got to like university varsity level. I was captain of the varsity team. So I did everything like I think I could have done. But yeah, I competed on all those levels.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a whole different. That's why I love sports, and that's why like I try to encourage them to people who have young kids, like who reach out to me, and like family members. I try to encourage sport just because it gives you time to be in the present because you have to be focusing on the sport and your technique and your teammates and everything. It gives you time to, like, it teaches you how to be in the present when sometimes we aren't, like, and that relates back to mental health, right? Where like you're just
Yes.
zoned out all the time or you're worrying about the future or the past. Sports have you in the present, and then it keeps like discipline and all of that. So
Yeah, big time.
yeah, man. So my first question for you is just because you mentioned a story on Matchmaker to me, and if you're comfortable with it, I'd like to get into that.
Oh, I'm fully comfortable. I'm an open
Sweet.
book.
Let's do it. So let's kind of go through like where your journey with mental health started.
Yes. So, um, I had a really good childhood up until I was 15. My parents we lived in East Side San Jose, which is not really a good area, but they sent me to schools outside of our neighborhood that were 10 miles away or yeah, something like that for a better education. When so I couldn't complain about my childhood up until I was 15. Everything was perfect. And then um September 13th, 2005, my mom was taking me to school, to that 10-mile away school. We had a high school that was literally down the street, but it was just a really bad neighborhood.
Mm,
And we're we're literally a block away. We're turning left onto the main main street that connects it to the freeway. And then my mom turned left. The incoming car didn't have a stop sign, but didn't see my mom. It was speeding and basically hit her side. So the car T-boned and basically bent in, and my mom ended up right next to me, and her side was crushed. She wasn't physically crushed, but I mean, you could see it was like she wasn't gonna make it. And that's when it's crazy because my baseball coach at the time for the youth sports, not for high school, because I was playing both, had seen the car accident. He jumped out, opened the door, pulled me out. And when you go through that traumatic event, like you don't really know how to handle it.
mhm.
So everybody already called 911. The people that saw it, everybody in the area already called 911, but I didn't know how to react. I just seen my mom. I mean, she was dying basically, and she was conscious a little bit, but wasn't talking. She wasn't responsive like that. Um, and I decided I had my cell phone. I'm calling 911, and the operator's telling me, "Hey, we already had people going to the scene. You've been in an accident. You need to lay down." And I felt fine. Like I thought I was okay, but then I realized I was in an accident. It took about a good 20 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes to finally realize that you were in an accident. My body started going into just like pain. Ended up so I went to the floor. I just laid down. I was like far away from the accident too. I just laid down and just waited for the ambulance to get there. They picked me up. I ended up having internal bleeding. I basically ripped my spleen open, or I don't know if it's open. It just burst basically, and then my liver was lacerated. It was cut, and then it was pretty bad. I almost died myself too. I was in the hospital for about a month. Uh, so much support from everybody, but so I went through all that at 15. At 15 years old, you don't know that that's going to affect your mental health.
Mhm.
Like I'm thinking like, okay, I went through this shitty event. Sorry if I cuss. Sorry.
No, you can cuss. You can cuss.
Okay, I went through this shitty event, and this is gonna suck. But I didn't realize what was happening to me. I'd go to sleep. I would have nightmares. I'd wake up sweating. I couldn't concentrate on anything. Um, it was just anxiety all the time. It just, I didn't know what was happening. No one really explained it. Everybody, like the way the adults treated me around me, my dad, my teachers, they treated me like I was mourning for my mom. I didn't need that help. Like I was I was okay. But what was bothering me was that I just seen someone die.
Mm-hmm.
So it was PTSD. It was all like depression. It was, I needed help with that because at 15 you're not supposed to see that, you know,
Yeah.
and especially that close to you. And so from 15 to I want to say until I was like 23, because I got married at 22, but at 23 it's when I finally realized like, okay, something's wrong with you. Because my 15 to 23, I would constantly, there'd be times of there'd be a month in the year or 2 months where I just wasn't good. I would just go lock myself in my room and kind of like not talk to anybody. But then when I'm talking to people, I'm the most social person you ever meet. I love making people laugh. I love laughing at things. Like I talk to everybody. I engage with a lot of people. But there's these months and there's these days where I just would be the opposite person. And so I get married. I met my wife at 22. I get married, and when you're married to someone, you're literally with them all day. They see you wake up, they see you sleep. They see what's behind the covers. They see what's behind the your head, inside your head. So me and my wife for 2 years just dealt with all my demons coming out, right? I couldn't run and hide anymore. I had someone watching me and depending on me. So I went I went to a psychiatrist. My wife basically like, you need to go see somebody. And luckily I was working for FedEx. They I had insurance to go see a good one, and I went to go see one, and they wanted to be to they wanted to put me on drugs. And I just I knew I was better than, not, I don't want to say better because I just knew it wouldn't help me how it helps other people for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I like I have family members that are on it and friends that it helps them, but I just knew like, I don't know. I wanted to try one more different way, and if it didn't help, then I was gonna take the drugs. And then psychiatry, I didn't know the person, so I didn't enough. It wasn't helping me. So I ended up finding martial arts. I found martial arts when I was 22, but I wasn't taking it seriously. 23 is when I really was working out 4 hours a day, uh, just getting my body right, and and that really helped. It really helped, and I have my moments, but I've never had to go back to psychiatry or and never go on prescription pills, which is it's okay for other people to go on it, but I just, for some reason, I just think it's not going to help me. And at 28, sorry if I'm telling you my whole story. So
No, this is
is
great.
this
This is
okay?
great. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. At 28, so I got a full time. My goal was to fight, but I ended up getting married, and we ended up moving out, and because we were living in a bedroom, and me and my wife and my stepdaughter my stepdaughter, and I looked at the room we were living in. It was just a bedroom. It was the three of us in a bedroom, and I said, both me and my wife wanted to move out, so we ended up moving out, getting a place, and more bills, more responsibility, and that was on my plate. And I wanted to fight at the same time. It wasn't going to work out, so I had to give up the dream of fighting. And so years go by, and I'm just waking up, commuting an hour, going to work, commuting back for traffic. It's like 3 hours to get home. I'm not living. And all the trauma and all the anxiety I was dealing with, everything that was from my past, it started to creep up again. And I went out, I shot my weight up all the way to 260 pounds. I was mad all the time. I was back at square one, 28 years old, back at square one. And my family wasn't happy. My daughter wasn't happy. My wife wasn't happy. We were just miserable. So we had an incident with my daughter who was dealing with stuff at school, and she was dealing with the stuff at school because me and my wife weren't home. We were constantly commuting together to another city, to the Bay Area. I live in California, and we had to make a decision. Who Someone needs to be home. It was my sister taking care of my daughter, but my sister's not her parent, and so we had to make a decision. I ended up being me. I had found martial arts before that. I had found an MMA gym before that, and I had fought one time before I quit my job. And so that's why we decided to be me, because I had fighting, right? And so I quit my job, and now I'm basically doing it full time, martial arts full time, coaching. Because of the pandemic, there's no fights right now. It's hard to find fights. We have to travel. Um, but I went for 2 years. All I did was just train and fight, and I haven't been happier. Like, to be honest, like I think the route of getting a full time job and and just paying the bills, going to work, waking up, going to work, coming home, sleeping, going to work, it wasn't for me. For some people it works, but for me it was bad. I can't do that. I got to go after my dreams, my passions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. What a story, man. Holy crap.
Sorry.
No. In a good way. I mean, sorry.
Yeah.
No, that was great. So how
And
did you?
I'm not a pro fighter or anything. I'm not rich. I'm not. I don't want. I want my story to be truthful. I don't want people thinking that I made it. I'm successful. No, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of the beginning of going after my dreams. I'm
Mm,
not a successful person. I just I love martial arts. Me and my wife were making it happen. We went from making close to over $100,000 a year to to trying to make ends meet, but I have not been happier. Me and my wife were just talking about it. I've never been happier. So
well, in a way, that determines success, though, doesn't it? Being happier than before. I know in our society,
yes.
like monetary wealth determines success more, and like status and all these things. But um, like some people will argue that it's happiness, it's reaching for your goals, it's that side of is more successful than the monetary side.
Yes, it's fruitful. Yet living a life that's fruitful. It's you. There has to be meaning. You could have a routine all you want and just be repetitive and just not just going through the routine, because anybody could get a job, right? You could get a full-time job, and it sucks, but you can do it. You could wake up every day, go to it, come back home, go to it, come back home, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I've seen a lot of people that are in their 70s or their 80s. You talk to older people. If you talk to older people, they're going to tell you, don't waste your time. Go after what's good in life. And if you have kids, if you have a family, take care of them. That's number one. But if you don't have any responsibilities, then why are you working a 12-hour day job? Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
just.
I know, especially when you don't want to.
Yes.
Yeah, no, they did this study on people on their deathbeds, and they found that the one thing that most people were saying is that they wish they had worried less, they had stressed less, like they took more time to reach what they wanted to do. Like when you're on your deathbed, you're not gonna lie there and go, "Shit, I should have worked more hours in a week." Like you're not gonna lie there and be like, "I should have worked 45 hours instead of 40." That one was 25.
Yeah.
I'd done it. It's going to be like, I wish I, had taken more time for myself, for my family, to reach my goals, do those things. So I feel like that's more of a success determiner than anything.
Yeah. I think the one thing I learned from martial arts is I think everybody they need to teach this in school. They teach you things, but they don't teach you how to learn.
Mm,
Right. And I found that out later in life. Martial arts, it taught me how to learn. The process of learning. It's funny because you go through high school, you go through elementary, junior high, and high school. They're shoving all this knowledge into your brain, but they're not showing you the process.
mm-hmm.
It's there's a lot of kids out there that are dealing with other stuff. They don't care about what's going on school with it. Because me, I lost my mom. I didn't care at 15. I was like, okay, my life's done. I don't care about this math book, you know?
Right.
So I'm not gonna learn. It has to be something I want to do that's gonna make me engaged. And that's once I found something I love, which martial arts is. I love martial arts. Um, I started to learn the process of how to learn, and that's where my podcast came to be, or even just learning audio and video. It's because I love seeing progression. I love learning something. I know I suck at it right now, but then it grows into something better, right? That goes with anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's one time my dad wasn't the best of dads, but I mean he was there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one time he grabbed a stack of cards. I didn't know how to shuffle cards, and he looked at the stack of cards and he threw them at me. He's all, learn how to shuffle, and he just gave it to me. He's all, you grab it and you just keep on trying. You keep on trying. It wasn't really the best example, but now that as I get older, I understand what he was trying to do. He was trying to show me how to learn something, and
Yeah.
a lot of kids don't get that, right?
Well, in school now, it's not even about learning anymore. It's about like passing. Like that's the whole
Yeah.
goal. It's to pass your class. They don't care if you learn anything. I couldn't tell you half the crap I learned in university. I just needed to
Jeez.
learn it like for a certain amount of time so I could pass a class, but I wasn't interested in it.
Yeah.
They got I don't know how to do it, but like a lot of the things they teach in school, they just they shouldn't, or they should modify it at least, or like modify the system to a point where, hey, I do want to learn about that. Because when you want to learn about something, it's way more effective.
Yeah. And basics in martial arts are big. Learning the basics are a good thing and very important. But there is a point where you start playing your game, where you start doing your own thing, not your own thing, but just being creative, what you like, right? You find a move and you just study that move constantly, right? Um, there's when you get to high school, I feel like there should be a path to pick what you want. Or I know in the university you have your major, but it still doesn't, you know what you want to learn about, but you don't know how you want to use that knowledge, right? You're just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I got my major in, say, communications, what we're doing right now. I have my major in communications, but I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Now at 30 years old, I do want to go back to school and get a communications degree. But if I would have said that, because I started going to school and when I was 18 for communications, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, so I wasn't interested in it. But I think it's funny because I was talking to a bone doctor, orthopedic surgeon, and he said that during his, like, when he was going to college in the Vietnam War, so many people were going to college out of high school because they didn't want to get drafted.
Mm.
Now you're starting to see people go back later, like in their 30s or late 20s, because they, out of high school, they just enjoyed life, not enjoyed life, but like got life experience. They didn't have to go to war. They weren't scared of going to war. So you're starting to see these people that are in their 30s or late 20s in college.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like you're you're so young when you go to university.
Yeah.
And like you're supposed to, at 18, at 17, know where you want to go in life. Like that doesn't seem very fair. Like 17, that
Yeah.
is so young. Like I went to school originally. I went to university for animal biology.
Yeah.
Because like the young version of me was like, I want to be a vet. And then I learned very quickly that I am not smart enough to be a vet. Um, just I learned that very fast. But like I switched my major and I did this stuff. But I realized like, you shouldn't have to know right away. Like there's so much pressure in switching your major. It's like so frowned upon from students, and people are hesitant all the time to do it. Like my sister, she just got into uni, and when she was applying, she had a lot of stress about it. And I said, what are you stressed about? And she said, well, this major that I pick is what I have to do for the rest of my life. I'm like, no, it's not. What the fuck are you talking about? Because she was like, once I'm in there, I can't switch it. I'm like, you can definitely switch it. Like they just don't tell you that. You got to learn it for yourself, which is brutal. But you're allowed to switch and make decisions. You're 18. You're allowed to
Yeah.
change your path in life. Because if everyone did the same path that they wanted since they were a kid, it'd be so boring.
Yeah.
Everything's expected.
Even if you're 70 years old, there's no right or wrong choice, right? If you want to change your life at 70, go ahead and change it. It's your life, like I tell my sister's gonna compete in March. She's a amateur Muay Thai fighter too, and I tell her all the time, like, there's no right or wrong way to do anything. It's just there's wrong things to do. There's a right and wrong. There's evil things and there's good things on this earth, but your life and what you choose to do, there's no wrong way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's so people try to put you in these boxes and they try to tell you, oh, you can't do that or you can't do this. It's who says you haven't lived life two times?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yep.
if somebody was in their second life and they already went through life already and they came up to me, well, you're doing this wrong, I would listen to them.
Yeah.
But but nobody's lived a second life. So if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. And sometimes I fail, sometimes it's a success, but I'm just I don't know. I really have I found out I really have a problem with people telling me what to do.
Mm.
I don't have a problem with authority. I think I have a problem when people tell me you can't do it.
Yeah.
That drives me. If I say I think I'm gonna like the podcast. I'm gonna do my podcast. It's called The Hassle of Hair, by the way. That was a plug.
Shameless plug.
No, but people told me you why are you doing that? You're a fighter. You quit your job to fight and you don't know anything about audio. It takes a lot of work, and so many people told me I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that just kept me up at night. It kept me trying to learn. It kept me trying to figure out how to do this thing, how to connect with people, how to find you. And it's just, it drives me to the point of being mad about it. But at the same time, it motivates me to show people you can just do anything you want.
Yeah.
It just takes a lot of hard work and a lot of sleepless nights with coffee.
That's right, man. Coffee's the savior. I'm hoping that this quarantine, this whole year has like taught people that, like, because we've been stuck at home and we've had free time and people are getting more creative. I like just from conversations with my friends and people online, I'm starting to see a shift, like where people are like, I can really do whatever I want with my life as long as I work. Like, you have to work hard. There's the bottom line, but like, there's a lot of freedom that we don't think we have.
Yeah. It's funny because it's hard because you're finding people that are thinking just like you. I mean, podcasters are all thinking the same.
Mm-hmm.
They could do anything. If they want to do something, they could do it, right? There's no box for them or people online that you're talking to, but there are people right now going crazy because one, they're new to the internet, right? The internet is new to them. So it's just madness, and now people are starting to wake up to, oh, I don't have a box that people are going to put me in, or that person doesn't need to be put in that box. And it's kind of driving people crazy because they don't know how to act.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not a bad thing. It's just, yes, some people are waking up and having a good time with it. Like me and you, we're doing our own thing, and we're talking to people, and we created our shows. But at the same time, there's those people that really don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Things
Yeah.
are changing where businesses are not, how to, it's not a, how do you say it? Uh, business properties, like big buildings, like gyms, big building gyms, big building restaurants, like all those are kind of like going away for a little bit. And now you have to start using the internet. You have to start using what you have online. Businesses run out of the houses, and you have to adjust. People are not really good at adjusting. They want things to be normal.
Mm-hmm.
And people that live already outside the box are not normal, so they're able to do this, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, I see what you're saying, that people are starting to wake up, but sometimes it's not always good for people because they they kind of like freak out.
Yeah. You've got a point there. Yeah. It's true, man. Sometimes like you need that structure. Some people need to be told what to do, or like need direction. It's like me with
Yeah.
working out. I need to be told what to do. If I don't know how to act. I'll eat all the chips in my house.
I eat 24/7. Don't matter. I even if someone's yelling at me, I eat like crazy. That's one thing that I probably got from I mean, it's probably a mental health thing, and probably an addiction, but I love food.
Oh,
And I'm probably never going to be the strictest martial artist or fighter ever. I don't know. It's just food. I love food.
mm-hmm. Seriously, man.
So you're not the only one.
Fuck. So how because like whether people admit it or not, the pandemic has had an impact on most people's mental health one way or another to some degree. How have you been able to stay relatively positive through these times?
And when everything first started happening, so I had a fight in February. Um and then I think a week after that fight, or even after that fight, things started getting serious. Like it was getting like, okay, it's getting closer to the United States. It's getting closer to California. There might be a shutdown. It might be 2 weeks. Oh, it's going to be 2 weeks. And now it's going to be 2021 and we're still in it. But when it first started happening, I was going insane. My wife has been the strong one throughout all of this. I think 2 days where she's shown to be vulnerable and kind of, I've just seen her strong through all of this, right? Me, the first month, I want to say, I was going insane. I was I wasn't handling it very well. It was difficult because I was on my phone looking at the news, looking at the numbers. I'm like, I wasn't like hazmat suit going insane. Like I needed to lock all the doors. Not that. It was the stress of it. It
Mm-hmm.
was stressful, man.
Yep.
Being a husband and a dad and a big, because my sister lives with me too, and a big brother. Like for some reason, I put it all on my back, and I feel like every choice that first month, I feel like every choice had to be right. If I made a wrong choice, then lives are at stake in my house. Like that's how much I put it on my back. That will drive you insane.
Seriously.
I so and my sister-in-law saw me. My sister-in-law, she looked at me. She said, "You don't look so good. You need to go look in the mirror because you really don't look so good." And then I seen myself and I just looked crazy. And finally I don't know what I did to change it either. I think I just realized you need to relax. I'll tell you what changed it. So I took like a week off from the gym, right? Because I've been going to the gym throughout the whole entire pandemic because we're a small town. the gym is my family. I see them all the time. That's our little bubble, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I took a week off from the gym. When I say I ate edibles 7 days straight, I ate marijuana edibles 7 days straight.
Oh
And
man.
and I locked myself in my room. I didn't lock myself in my room. I just stayed in my room for 7 days. And that's when I thought of the idea for the podcast. That's when I thought of like what's going to happen. Like I just seen everything moving online. Um, I realized this is going to be a long time. I kind of woke up to, okay, this is a pandemic. You're going to be in this for a long time. So it's time to start prepping yourself mentally. And ever since then, I just been trying to get this podcast going. I've been mentally getting stronger. There's some days where I break where I'm just like mad. I'm mad at this situation. I was on my fourth fight in a year and a half, and I was gonna go pro. Like I was talking, me and my coach were talking about me going pro. So there are some days where I'm like, God damn it, like it just sucks. And you need those days. Luckily I have my wife with me who helps me out. But I think ever since then, the 7 days of edibles, I just been good. And I'm sober now. I don't smoke at all right now. So it was a hard time in the beginning, but staying focused on the podcast, being able to coach martial arts, help my sister, and staying busy, not giving up. Every day I say, like, basically get better. Like it's just, and then I found a support team on Instagram. My buddies that are from San Jose, from different cities, that are that are either trainers, martial artists. Like we all help each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like having people to talk to is big right now, and people are scared to reach out to people. It's just reach out. People are all looking. Everybody right now is looking for someone to reach out to. So if you don't have somebody to talk to, go talk to somebody. Like it's not like people are so lonely right now that there are people out there for everybody. So it's just it is a hard time. And you got to stay positive. Tomorrow's going to be a better day. That's what, like, just keep on telling yourself.
Yeah. It's admirable that you can do that with a story like yours, to be able to say, keep positive. It's really, it's cool. It's cool to see.
Yeah. It wasn't, I had a lot of support, I think.
Yeah.
My dad kind of went crazy when my mom passed away and did his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, my mom was so loved. My mom would help people all the time. We were poor, but she still would help everybody. Like it's just the way she was. If someone needed help with a fundraising for their kids' sports, my mom would help them. If someone needed help with say they didn't have a mom to do their hair at my sister's cheerleading practices, I remember my mom doing their hair. It's just, she was always a helping person, and I base my life off of her life. And man, I'm barely realizing that right now, to be honest, that I really do base my life off of hers. And it was like 3 days before she died, 2 or 3 days. It was a football game in Santa Cruz, California, basically. And I had a bad game. I really had a bad game, and I got off the field. I threw my helmet. I was pissed off, and my mom never lectured me. She never lectured me. And she just came up to me pissed. She was pissed. And she just looked at me. She scolded me. She thought, I never want to see you act like that again. I never want to see that. I never want you to lose your heart. And when I say I kept that with me, the 3 days that she was alive, after that, I mean, it didn't really stick with me. But when she died, it was just like, that's the last thing my mom ever told me.
Mm-hmm.
really with meaning and substance, right? She told me, she's like, never lose your heart. And I have wrote that throughout from 15 to 30 years old. Like, it's just anything I do, I'm never gonna lose my heart in anything I do. With fighting, I'm gonna come forward at all times. I broke my nose in a fight. I still came forward. The podcast, there's so many times where I wanted to give up, but I just keep on going. My marriage, there's so many times where I wanted to give up. It's just that little voice that's in my head that's my mom just keeps on telling me, don't ever lose your heart. Don't lose your heart. Don't lose your heart. It's just, it's crazy that teaches you as a parent what you matter. It means something. So it really does. You know?
Yeah. It like teaches you the impact you have on your children.
Yes.
Yeah, man. That's beautiful. Yeah. Wow. That don't lose your heart. That's really good advice. A lot of people should listen to that.
Yeah.
So how has your mental health improved with like martial arts? Like how has it impacted your mental health?
So martial arts, before I got into it, I blamed the world. I would blame like everybody, my dad, I'd blame my mom, I blamed the whole world for the way I was feeling. Part of it was because there was no release. There was nothing for me to do that would make this come out. I still played sports after she died, but I didn't care for them. I was going to practice one day, and it was a year after the accident, and I didn't care for sports, but people told me, you got to do something. You have to put yourself into something. My friends and family, they pushed me to do football. And I remember one practice, I'm walking up, I said, fuck this. I'm done with this, man. This is so stupid. I threw my helmet down and I just started punching the cement. I broke. And after that, I said, I'm not playing any sports. So I basically gave up on sports. And so up until I found martial arts, I had nothing to vent. There was nothing. It was just either party, drink, and what is it called when you basically not self-harm, but like when you purposely fail at things. Self-sabotage. Yeah. I was a lot of self-sabotage because that was a form of release. And so I don't know how I ended up breaking up with the ex-girlfriend at the time. I was with her for a lot of years and I was happy with her, but not mentally happy. And I said, I needed something for myself. I'm sad. I'm depressed. I'm anxiety. Like I can't do this. I broke up with her at one of the best moments on a date. Like we had the best date of our relationship. I broke up with her because I knew this is it. This is all we're going to do. I'm never going to feel happier than this. And I broke up with her. After breaking up with her, that next week, I found a boxing gym.
Mm-hmm.
Ask me why I went into that boxing gym or why I wanted to go there. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know why I started martial arts. I just knew I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what it was. So I got into boxing, and man, pushing yourself through working out, especially when it's like boxing or jiu-jitsu or kickboxing or Muay Thai, you get to this point where you're working out and your body's failing. You think your body's failing, right? Mentally, you think your body's failing, but your body won't fail on you. It takes a lot more than a round of boxing to fail, right? That your body could withstand a lot, and you don't know that. And breaking that point, you become a whole different person because you understand how much you could go through and still be okay. And for your psyche, for your mental state, it really helps you, because I know I'm stronger than what I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
I everything. I know that I'm stronger than what I've been through. People like to sit down and complain about themselves, or pity themselves, and say, well, look where I'm at, or what I have, or look at what this person did for me. And it's because they don't believe in themselves. Once you're able to see that you could do a lot more, and it could be one round of boxing where you never exercised in your whole entire life, and you could hit the bag for 3 minutes straight, and you get to that point where you want to give up and you keep on going, man, that does a lot for you. And I have taken that line where it says, where my mind tells me I can't go anymore. I have taken that up and up and up. That line keeps on, that ceiling keeps on going up and up and up. And because of that, my mind just gets stronger. And even when I first met my wife, we were living in a bedroom. We didn't have anything. My daughter was sleeping in the, actually, when we first moved in together, we were all sleeping in the same bed. And we just kept on pushing. We got a house in Los Baños, California, and I don't know why I'm saying where I live, but but we went from a bedroom to owning a house. It says a lot about both our minds, about both where we're at, the state of minds we're at, because she didn't have the best of childhoods. I didn't have the best of childhoods. We lived in struggle. So going through struggle, it's okay, because we know we're better than our struggle, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Sometimes I think I'm the weirdest person, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I get that too. I'll be talking and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Exactly, dude.
And yeah, no, sports definitely teach you resilience. And it almost breaks down that hardwiring in your brain that like you've convinced yourself as you're growing up. Like I grew up with depression and anxiety, and I convinced myself that I was trash. Like I convinced myself I was broken, unfixable, I couldn't do these things. But when you go into sports, it's almost as if that sport is saying, hey, fuck that.
Yeah.
Like this is how you should think if you want to do well in this sport. Like, are you going to do it? And it kind of grabs the hardwiring you've had in your brain and it reconfigures it. That's why I love sports so much.
It does. Those people, the people that stay where they're at in life, are people that feel bad for themselves, right? Or that don't understand they're greater than their struggle. I think that's a thing, right? Like they think that their struggle's too big. But once you see that you're greater than your struggle, you could do anything. You could literally do anything. It's I don't know.
Yeah, man, 1,000%. And that thing you mentioned where you don't know why you walked into that boxing gym, but you did. That goes back to my point at the very beginning where I'm like, listen, I firmly believe, whether you want to believe in spirituality or not, or high power or not, whatever you want to believe in, it doesn't matter. I firmly believe that the universe is on your side, like through most things. In some cases, people are brought up in unfortunate circumstances, but for the vast majority of situations, the universe is on your side, and it's all up to you breaking down that hardwiring and realizing you're more than your struggle, you're worth more than your struggle. And like without it's like realizing that you're not what your illness is, or you're not what your struggle is. Like once you get past that, the universe is on your side, and you just got to work hard and get places. I don't know, like wherever you want to go, you know what I mean?
I think go ahead, sorry.
No, I didn't say anything else.
Um I think driving for FedEx, I listened to stories. I would listen to podcasts, and I would listen to books. And a lot of the books I listened to were there's one in particular. It's called "What Is the What" by David Eggers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about Achak Deng. I probably got the name wrong, but it's a Kenyan, about a Kenyan boy. Uh, he's part of the Lost Boys. If you don't really know what the Lost Boys are or who they are, there's a civil war in Kenya, I believe. I might be getting this wrong, so sorry. But there's a civil war in Kenya, and villages were torn apart, and people were looking for asylum or refugee camps, but they would have to travel by foot miles, right? Miles, and to different countries. And there's a group of boys that traveled to these refugee camps. At one point, they went to one country, had to leave because that country got overtaken, and had to go pack up and go to another country. And there's one story. The what is the what is about Achak Deng and one boy, and it tells you his personal experience. This kid's 10 years old, traveling with a bunch of kids, maybe the leaders are 1 year older than him, and he's seeing death. He's seeing kids go through starvation, through sickness because of the water. I think an alligator even kills one kid. But he's going through all this at that age, and it helped me realize that I could go through things. But that kid's going through it worse than anybody that we know. I'm pretty sure you don't have any friends that have gone through something like that, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I can't relate to that.
So it's just like there are people on this earth that have it way worse than you, and and that guy is actually, he has a foundation that's helping poverty, kids in poverty, helping women in poverty, and just families, right? And it's kind of cool once you start listening and reading books about people that have dealt with struggle worse than yours. That really helps. I think that plays into a part of what helped me too, was listening to other stories that are way worse than mine. So
Yeah, exactly. It opens your mind a little bit, because like I'm not speaking for people with like super serious situations, but like for my situation in particular, like people with depression and anxiety who like think they're just trash and they're unfixable and they're broken. Um, it like once you convince yourself of that, your mind is closed on the topic. Like when people would tell me like you're worth more, like do this, do that, I said, fuck you. I'm not going to listen to you because I've convinced myself that I'm trash. But once you start listening to stories, like you said, of people with ultimate struggle who have persevered and pushed through, and they're more than what their struggle was, and they come out on top, like that's so inspiring.
yeah, and I think the fact that it's a book, you're either reading it or someone's reading it aloud, but they're not telling you what to do. There's something when it comes to, I think, everything, not just mental health. When somebody tells you what to do, stop feeling like that. Stop being depressed. That doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work. It's the person has to see it for themselves. It's just like that. You could tell somebody that you love them, that you love them so many times, but if they don't love themselves, then that person they can't love anybody, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just, man, my whole family deals with mental health, and it's barely opening up now. I've had uncles and aunts that have dealt with depression but hid it. They were on medical drugs and prescribed drugs, and they didn't tell anybody. And it's barely coming out because some of my cousins are going through hard times with depression, and but some of my cousins are bipolar. Like, now, all of a sudden, the older generation is starting to say, "Hey, I dealt with that stuff too. It's not a secret, but I kept it a secret. I could help you though." But it's just like, I wish mental health was a bigger thing.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I didn't. Mine was very mild. I think mine was more due to my traumatic event.
Right.
But I do have family members that deal with depression, and it's such a scary thing because as the person on the outside looking in, you really don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like that person. I don't know how to help them. Like, I know it works for me, but I can't. It's a struggle because you have your own life and your own mental health. you can't keep on trying to help somebody if they're not getting fixed. So that's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing bad I would say about that person in my family that deals with it and that needs a lot of help. But I'll ask you, what do you do when you're on the outside looking in and that person's very, very depressed. You know they need help, but it's taking so much out of you and affecting your mental health. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's so crazy.
Yeah, the problem is when you're in that position and you're looking from the outside in, you try really hard to help. And like the way people help is through suggestion, through like you know that therapy works. On the outside looking in, you've heard therapy works, you hear medication works. So you go, you have to do these things, you know what I mean? But when you're in that position, and I'm speaking from experience, like when my friends and family found out, like when I let them know, they were like, you have to do this, you have to do that. And in my brain, I was like, I'm going to not do it even harder now because you're telling me to do it. You're just stubborn about it. And it's almost like hearing what you have to do turns you off from it way more. And I've been asking a lot of like not just people who have experienced it, but also like, you know, psychotherapists and behavioral therapists. Like I'm asking, what do you do in that position? Like if someone's experiencing suicidal thoughts or someone has bipolar, like what do you do in that scenario as a peer? They just say to listen and say, this is a suggestion I have, but if it might not be for you, I'm just throwing it out there. It's basically, you can do like suggestions and listening and all these things as long as you're not telling them what to do. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you can tell someone what to do, but they're not going to do it until in their head they believe that they should.
Yeah.
So it's just it's tricky. It's like when, let's say your buddy is in the worst relationship ever. Like his girlfriend is just so awful.
I understand where you go. Yeah.
And you're like, dude, you have to break up with her. Like she's eating you out from the inside. Like her personality is toxic. And he goes, no, what are you talking about? She's great. But the more you say you have to break up with them, the less they want to do it. Because I've been there
Yeah.
too. I've been in a relationship and my parents were like, you have to fucking break up with her. And I was like, I'm going to not break up with her now even more. We're going to be lovers forever. And then I got out of it. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, they were right. But they handled it poorly. It's just, you have to be like, hey, I'm here for you. This is what I think. It might not work for you, but that's up for you to decide.
Yeah. It goes with I think it goes with anything. You just need to sit back and just let that person deal with it the way they're going to deal with it. Because
Mhm.
it's just, but you have to know it's a crazy thing to talk about, because no one really talks about if you're the one helping that person with mental health, right?
Yep.
It does affect you. It does. And especially if it's your first time. I have a training partner. I have she's a fighter too, and she deals with schizophrenia, and she's open about it. She's actually been on my podcast and 3 times, and she's very open about it, and she wishes mental health was more of an open thing. But she deals with schizophrenia and mania, right? And man, when I first met her, it was exhausting. It was like, it was just when she would have her moments, it was just it's a lot, right? She'd see things, or she'd just start breaking, and because the voices got too loud. And but now I've been through it with her so many times while training, and she's family to me, right? She comes over the house, she eats with us, and you start to see how to deal with it, right? And you start to see, just let her go through it. Talk to her after. There's ways to deal with it, but if you never dealt with it, it is exhausting. You can
Mhm.
get exhausted, and it's you have to have that line. You have to draw that line, how much you're willing to do for this person. And if it's too much, then you need to tell that person, right? You need to speak up, because your mental health is at stake too.
Yeah, man, it's tough, but your mental health has to come before like
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I oh, what was I gonna say?
This is a heavy subject. That's
Yeah, man.
yeah.
They don't tell you, like, they already don't tell you enough about mental health in school and life and in general. But on the topic of like friends who are trying to help, they talk even less about.
Yeah.
Like, it's important, like friends and family need to know how to deal with it, because that's another factor that plays in when you're coming out, and you're open about your struggles and you're open about what your brain's going through. People just don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people are scared to open up.
Yeah, and fighters, meet a fighter. Like they don't. It's not really out in the open, but professional fighters, amateur fighters, mental health is a mental. Your mental state is a big thing in fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you start to understand, especially as a coach, you start to understand the people around you, the people that are training, their mental health, and you start to understand mental health, and it's a big role in fighting. And the fighters I know that are in my life, they're so open. They're so open to talk about mental health, and they're my crutch right now. The core group that I have to talk to are all martial artists. I've had friends I've known for years that I can't open up to about how I'm feeling or my state of mind, because they just don't get it. Some of them drink it away. Like some of them just, let's party and drink. And a lot of it has to do with like they just need an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I need people in my life where I could go to and talk to them. Hey, I'm having a crappy day today. Like it's just hard. And then they're there to listen, and we just talk about it. And for men especially, it's hard. It's hard to do that. And I guess for women too, because my wife talks about how women are just, especially in teenage years, right? Girls are just mean
Mm.
to each other. So,
Oh my God. Yeah.
but I've seen when you go through fighting, and I do talk about fighting a lot, but when you're in the locker room about to go out to the ring, you start to see everybody's mental state. And I seen a guy, he's next in line. The guy that he's fighting is going to the ring. He's about to walk out. And he's looking at the ring. I'm right behind him because I'm the next fight after that. He's looking at the ring. All of a sudden, he puts his head down and just pukes all over the floor. And, and they called the fight. They said he can't fight. He just threw up all over the place. You know? And it's just the nerves. You have to, I've had 4 amateur fights. I was scared shitless in all of them. I would tell myself, why are you here? My last one, I wanted to leave. Like I was just like, please, something happened. The guy ended up being late, and he had a flat tire getting there. And I was like, please don't show up. Please don't show up. Please don't show up. And he showed up, and I was like, God damn it. I just spent months training, and I'm telling myself I don't want to go out there. But you fight that, and I ended up getting in the ring, and boom, and it's on. Everything changes. I'm ready to go. And mental health. You learn a lot from fighting, I guess. Like I would suggest, if you want to be inspired or you want to get out of a funk, if you have any fighter friends, just go reach out to them, because I guarantee you they're going to be inspiring. Some of them are crazy and some of them are dicks, but most of them are good people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. It's important to have those friends.
Yes.
In that core group that you were talking about before.
Yeah. What happened?
Well, I said, in that core group that you were talking about before, it's important to have that as well.
Oh, big time. Big time. It's, I think you have to find it. you can't just say, okay, that person's in my core group. You have to start trusting people. You have to start seeing what they're about. And once you find someone that's real, you need to hold on to them, because that's very rare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I've got two questions that I ask every guest on this show, like for this season 3. And they don't have anything to do with fighting. But the first question I've got, I'm trying to remember what the questions were. I don't have them written down.
I work the same way you do, man. Off the top of my head.
Man, it's the best way though. You get a genuine conversation. So my first question for you is, with this whole pandemic and lockdown, there's no surprise, but numbers of, depression cases reported have risen, domestic abuse has increased, substance abuse has increased. And a lot of these numbers can be linked tightly to, the uncertainty out there, the job loss, the news pumping out negative media all the time. Like you wake up to it, you fall down the Twitter rabbit hole. Like uncertainty, personal loss, like all these factors. So from this point right now, where do we go from here? Like how, in your opinion, do you think we can stop these numbers from rising?
From what I've seen, and I forgot to mention it too, what helped me through all this, people need to stop watching. And it goes with everything. It goes with TV. It goes with social media big time. Social media has fucked us up. And you need to stop watching. People need to stop watching and start living, start creating, start doing stuff. But social media has created this fake world that wasn't there before. And it's hurting people. It's really honestly hurting. And I've seen my daughter, I've seen my family, I've seen friends, you could just see it. They're online too much. They're just scrolling, right? So I'm posting for my podcast. I'm posting funny stuff I find, and there's certain people I love to watch. And at night I spend 30 minutes before I go to bed just looking at reels, and that's about it. But I'm not on my phone looking at stuff. I'm not looking at news. Ever since I did that, I've been healthier with my mind. But I think there's people out there that don't have friends to go to. They don't have a reason to get up because of the pandemic. And what they do is they grab their phone and they start looking at articles. They start looking at social media, memes, everything. And humans have lost their way in things through social media. It's just a weird thing. It wasn't like this before. There's no substance. There's no substance to people anymore. There's no, like, research has gone out the window. It's because research has gone out the window and it's so easy to post your feelings on social media. People are kind of going crazy. And we just need to figure out on how to get that. Podcasting is a big way to get that message out there, because it's real. This is not social media. This is two people having a conversation, a real conversation. I'm talking to somebody that's from Canada, and you're talking to somebody that's from Los Baños, California. We're two people in different cities. And the conversation we're having right now, it's not what's on social media. On social media and the internet, the world's going fucking crazy. But obviously we live in two different towns, and we understand that you're not going crazy. I'm not going crazy. We're just in a pandemic right now. That's all it is. We're in a pandemic. We're going to get over this, but it's me and you doing things like this and giving our messages out are going to help people. And it's just about getting people to listen, not because we need clout or fame or anything like that. It's just telling them, hey, everything's going to be okay. People are going crazy right now. And it sucks, man. It really does. It's just, people need to stop watching. They really do. Sorry, I'm really passionate about that. I'm like, when it comes to social media, it's a really tricky thing, because I could tell people get off, stop watching, but then I tell them subscribe to my podcast.
I know.
Like it's just such a weird thing. It's just, how do we find a way to give truth to what's causing mania and craziness in because you look at what happened at the United States Capitol, right? The Capitol Hill, where they did you see where they rushed that?
Oh,
That's
I
crazy.
saw it.
Yeah, that's craziness, right?
Yeah.
And but at the same time, I wasn't there. You weren't there. We don't know how that happened. We hear stories, we see stories, but I tell my wife, years later, we're gonna find out all these stories because 20 years ago, it wasn't this easy to get information. That was like, it happened 3 hours before it got to my whole household.
Mm-hmm.
It's too fast. It's way too fast. 20 years ago, it took a long time for someone to write a book and give the real information about things and for it to come out. And now things are going so fast that we don't know what's real. We don't know what's fake. Like, it's just, we're in a very weird time and being humans, but eventually we're going to start getting used to it. We're going to figure out what's wrong. 10 years from now, they're going to be like, God damn, they were given this internet thing and they did not know how to use it. And they're, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, eventually we're going to catch up to it being okay again. Right. We just, all those 60-year-olds that got online are just going crazy right now.
Yeah, man, social media is a tricky one.
Yeah.
Like, I believe it can be used to our benefit.
Yep.
It's just a matter of figuring that out. Like you said, when, like, you and I, we met through social media or like through the internet. Like, there's ways to connect and be social and have it used the proper way. But then you get to like TikTok or Instagram and you're seeing like all these people, I don't know, flexing or driving rich cars, and you're like, fuck, my life sucks.
Yeah.
It's like, if you didn't see that though, would you still believe that? You know, it, like, the grass is always greener. That's what social media gives you. So, man, you got to unplug big time.
Yeah. And let me just say this real quick. I know you got one more question. Throughout the pandemic, I used to idolize a lot of these fighters, or professional people, or people that had a lot of followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
Throughout the pandemic, we realized a lot of these people really didn't have anything, and it just, once you're able to see that and look around at your family and say, hey, I love my family, I love where I'm at in my life, things get better. Social media is not real. Is really not real.
Yeah, man. Those things are most important. Family, relationships, like that stuff, being happy, like money, like whatever. I don't like it. I probably, if people listen to me constantly, they're like, fuck, this guy's rambling about it again. But like, I'm a lover of social media, but I also fucking hate it so much. Like, it's just brutal. Anyway, so my last question for you. I've been getting a lot of people reaching out to me, kind of stressed and anxious, because actually this pertains to social media again, but because they feel like they haven't really done anything with their life since the pandemic hit. And if you remember, like, way back last year, also, I can't believe it's been a year. It's been fucked. But way back last year, once it hit, like, let's say 1 month in, 2 months in, people were going on social media and going, this is what I'm doing with my free time. This is what I'm doing with my life. I'm being successful. I don't care about a pandemic.
Yeah.
Without addressing, how there's, like, there was trauma for everyone involved to some degree. Some people got it worse than others, with external factors and everything. But the pandemic in general, like, none of us living right now have been through a pandemic. So on one level or another, we experienced a form of trauma because it's something new. And we were basically forced to, it happened so fast. So a lot of people took that time during the pandemic to rest and to, like, recover and try to figure things out for themselves. And they had other things to worry about. But now they're thinking because they're looking on social media and they're seeing those people, you know, making $1 million or like making an Oscar worthy movie, like all these things, they're thinking, shit, I've done nothing with my life. And they're stressed about it and they're anxious about it because they feel useless and they feel like they're just insignificant. So what would you say to people who might be feeling that way?
It's, you know, it's funny is because I try not to put that out there on social media that look at what I'm doing, you know, but at the same time, I post a lot. I always post like, go after your passions, but I also do put grow together, win together, right? Everybody that's doing something, if you're doing something, reach out to me and let's all grow together, right? And I'm not trying to put out there that look at me, I'm doing something with my life. It's hard not to do, but when you're trying to promote something, that's what you're supposed to do, right? And it sucks because you're right, we've never been through a pandemic, and me and my wife when we went to the store today, she was like, man, I'm exhausted. I go, I'm exhausted too. She said, we've been doing so much. I go, no, we haven't. Like, we're literally doing a podcast. I go to the gym during the weekday, and we're not really doing that much. It's just, it feels like that because there's a big weight over us, and it's the pandemic, and it's just a tough thing. Like, it goes back to having that core group. A lot of us are feeling like that. I'm doing a million things right now, and I still feel like I'm not doing enough. It's because things are not normal right now. Yes, this is going to last a long time, but this is not the new normal. You know, it's, you just got to think like one day at a time. Because if you start looking on social media and you start telling yourself, I'm not doing enough, you're going to go crazy, right? You find something. It could be a simple project. Hold on. Before I start that, not a simple project. If you need money and you need food on your table, it's time to get moving. You know what I mean? If you're going to starve and there is a problem with money coming in or you surviving, when it comes to survival, you can't sit around and say, man, I'm not doing anything with my life. No, it's time to start moving. You know, like,
right.
That's different. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you have everything okay, if you have money in the bank, but you have nothing to do, you just need to find something. Just find something, and it could be the beginning of it. You can't tell yourself, man, it needs to be great right now. You have to have a vision. You have to say what you think it's going to be, and push that to the side and just work on it. What it is right now. Water it every day. Have fun with it. Do something. It's just, people look too far ahead. You can't. You have to say, I can do it. Whatever I want to do, but every day I have to wake up, get a little bit better, get a little bit better, get a little bit better. And once you get in your routine of that, life and things around you start to get a little bit easier, and you start to feel happy again. It's just if you're listening and you don't have anything going on in your life right now, and you're feeling like you're not doing anything, I think even though I'm doing a million things, I still feel that way. It's because I can't see my family. I can't see my grandma. I can't see people that I used to see. We used to go traveling every weekend for fights for part of the different teams. It's just the weight that is on everybody right now. Don't feel bad because you feel that way. It's just, we're in different times right now, and it's going to be over. I don't want to say soon, but I think I already said soon, but it's going to be over, I guess, when it's over, you know?
Yeah, man. Completely agree.
If that makes sense. I don't know if that answered your question or not.
No, you did. You're completely agree, man. Just,
yeah.
Unless you need money now, like you said, just find something, just anything to like occupy your time. People have been baking bread. Sure, do it. Like, why not? if you've got nothing else going on and you need something to feel productive, might as well.
And working out is a big one.
Mm.
And I'm not saying get shredded and be an elite athlete, because that's where it sucks, because people that are barely starting off, they want to be an elite athlete, and they say, oh, well, I'm not going to do it. No, just go move around. You don't have to be shredded. You don't have to be able to lift crazy numbers or spar for 10 rounds. Just start. Just go out there. You'll feel 100% better if you go for a walk. If you've never walked if you haven't walked in 2 months, go for a long walk, and I guarantee you'll feel 10 times better.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't have to be extreme. You don't have to go 0 to 100. There's 99 other numbers in there.
That's funny.
All right, man. This has been fun, Jesse. Where can my viewers find you?
You could find my Instagram at Jesse the Hassle Diaz and Jesse Diaz on Facebook. And you could find mine and my wife's podcast called The Hassle of Hair on Instagram. You could listen to it on Spotify, all the podcast platforms. Just look up The Hassle of Hair. And it's on YouTube also. And we're just about inspiration, about people going after their dreams. It could be person in the beginning of their dream, right? I had a person that got sober over Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's an inspirational story. And then I just had Chris Lieben on, who's a professional fighter who's about to retire, a legend in the UFC. And it doesn't have to be super successful. It's just people going after what they want in life. And if you like that kind of stuff, find us on YouTube and all podcast platforms, The Hassle of Hair.
Love it, man. I'll put all the links down below. Thank you again for joining me, Jesse. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Harry.
And to all my viewers, I will see you guys next time. Hey guys, thanks for watching another episode of my show. If you want more episodes of the H Panel, the button's going to be right here. If you want to subscribe for more videos from myself, it'll be right down below. Please like, comment, share, give 5 stars. Let's keep this conversation going, guys, all right? I'll see you next time. Thank you for your support.